Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Wavelink Wednesday. We have a couple of great topics lined up for you today. We're going to be going over three different topics. Firstly, we're going to be going over doing conditional emails with Velocity Forms. We're going to be covering Velocity script key replacements. And we're also going to be showing you how to close and open Velocity using scripting APIs. But before we jump into that, let's go over a few housekeeping items. Let me first go ahead and introduce myself. For anybody that doesn't know me, I am Sam Gonzalez. I'm the Director of Global Solutions, and I have been with Ivanti Wavelink for a little over 13 years now. Anybody that's worked with folks from Wavelink may know that makes me the new guy, because we have a lot of tenured people here that make it look like I'm just getting started. So it's been a great company to work for. Really excited to be your MC today. Now, I've been asked to remind everybody a couple of important things. Firstly, everybody who signed up for this webinar will get a recording emailed to them within the next couple of days. We hope that you can stick with us throughout, but if you can't, we certainly understand, and just know you will get that recording so that you can see it later, or just for a refresher. Also, we are using the On24 platform, and it is highly customizable. So you can play around with the different panels, resize things, and adjust the view to make it comfortable for you and the device that you're watching on. Okay, before we kick off with the topics, I did also want to remind everybody that we want to hear from you. Some of the best ideas that we get as a company come directly from our partner community and our customers. And because of that, we welcome any feedback that you may have. So if you've not been there before, please take a moment to visit forums.ivanti.com, where you can search our knowledge database, you can ask questions, and you can also submit product ideas for future Wavelink Wednesday episodes, and just generally give us feedback. Like I said, we want to hear from you. So please take a moment and do that. Okay, so before we get into our first presenter, we have something a little bit different this time as well. I worked with our product manager over at Velocity as we have a new release coming out here in the next several weeks. And I asked him if there was anything that I could kind of give people a sneak preview of some of the features that are coming out. And he gave me a few items to talk about here. So first thing I want to talk about is with our next release of Velocity and Velocity Forms, we're now going to be able to submit multiple photos on a form. So let's say you have a scenario like a vehicle inspection, where you want to take pictures of the different things that you're supposed to inspect, tire treads, gauges, other things. You can now take multiple photos and submit them as part of the same submission, making it that much more valuable and productive. The next thing that's going to be a part of our Velocity release is we now have the ability to customize your host profile screen colors. So if you're using multiple host connections, and when you first launch Velocity, you get that initial display where you can select the session you want to connect to, you can now customize those color options. Simple feature, but what we have found in talking to our customers and partners is that it can make a really big difference, especially if you have job-specific profiles that people connect to. Having the color makes it really easy for people to just go to the color that they know is part of their job profile, saving a little bit of time, making sure that people go into the right profile for what they're trying to do. And then the last one I'm going to touch on is we're also going to be having an enhanced Bluetooth experience. So as you see here, there's now a new Bluetooth pairing UI that will allow you to manage your pairing between headsets. If you happen to be using our Velocity Voice product, it will also allow you to manage those Bluetooth printer pairings as well, just giving you more control and more capability to swap different Bluetooth devices in and out, pair and unpair things as you need. So with that, I'm actually going to go over to our first presenter. So our first presenter is Tom Allen. Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, everyone. I am Tom Allen. I'm a solutions architect here at Wavelink, or Ivanti Wavelink. And I'm going to be showing you conditional emails using Velocity Forms. and I guess we're just going to jump right into it. All right, today we're going to be looking at conditional emails using forms. First off, we're going to be creating a new forms template. I'm going to give it a name, and then I'm going to give it a company name. We're going to hit create. Next, we're going to give it the server credentials. I'm going to give it the server address. We're going to keep the port the same, 5000, and now I'm going to use my login credentials to log into the server. And be sure to copy your password into the password field. Alright, now we're going to the form builder. I'm just going to go ahead and change the name so it's a little bit easier to show. Name this forklift checklist. It's going to be a pretty simple checklist, nothing too crazy. In this case, we're going to add a take picture field, so we can take a picture of the forklift. And then we're going to add some checkboxes so we can show whether the forklift is good or bad. First area, we're going to put good forklift. And the second one, we're going to put bad forklift. And we need to add a second variable name. The component ID is what we will use inside of our email template, as well as double check that it stays the same on the IoT side. And we're going to rename this one as well. We'll leave them unchecked because we want to check whether it's either good or bad. And now we're going to publish. And you can see it's been published to our server. Alright, now on the Neurons for IoT side, we want to double check that our form template has been uploaded. You can see it has, and we're just going to double check that the component ID has stayed the same, in which it has. Good. Now we can come to the scenario builder. If it's your first time, you'll see a little button test. We want to delete that and create a form block flow. So here we've grabbed the form block, and I've grabbed the conditional if statement and put an email sender block in there. If a forklift is good, we're going to send it to Steve. And I think if a forklift is bad, I'm going to send it to Bill. Don't forget to put the correct variable name inside of the conditional blocks, otherwise you won't get the conditional stuff happening. I'm going to send this one to Bill if it's a bad forklift. Alright, everything looks good to go. We're going to save it. Now on the Velocity client, we're going to run through the forklift checklist. Just going to take a picture. Yep, everything looks good. And we're going to submit. And we'll look inside of our email and see if we receive an email. Oh, there it is. And you can see Steve has received an email with a good forklift. All right. Thank you so much for this Wavelink Wednesday. Woot. Thanks. Back to you, Sam, with any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, my question is, are you sure there was something wrong with that forklift? It looked fine to me.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So absolutely, we had a few questions come in, and I do encourage anybody on the call that if you do have questions as we're going, please add them into the Q&A box. We will ask each presenter questions at the end of their segment, as well as if there's anything that comes in a little later, we'll also take a look at the end before wrapping up. So some of the things that came in is the conditional email limited to check boxes, or does it matter what kind of form element you're testing against?
Nope. You can use any sort of element from the velocity form creator area.
Okay, fantastic. Another question that came in is, what if I just want to save the data on my forms, but I don't want to notify anybody? Do I have to set up an email?
No, you don't have to set up an email. You can set up a receiver, and that could be anyone that is either on the platform or through any other method. You could trigger a light to turn on, or you can send that information to a panel screen and alert people that way. So it's very flexible, not locked down to emails.
Okay, fantastic. And then are the forms also stored in the platform as well, or is email the only place that data goes?
With our new launch of the platform, the new version, we can submit to third-party tools. We're going to be able to launch to FTP servers and Dropbox servers, so as well as other potential servers. So cool stuff.
Okay, fantastic. And then the last question we have here on the list is, what happens if the component ID changes?
Sometimes that happens. If it does, you might just need to delete it on the IoT side and then republish from your Velocity console. So nothing too big.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, that takes us to the end of the questions. Thank you very much, Tom, for going over that. We certainly appreciate it. And with that, we're going to move on to our next topic and presenter, Levi Lynch. Levi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Levi Lynch. I'm a sales engineer here at Ivanti Wavelink. I've been here for about the last year and a half, but before that, I was working in similar spaces with Android devices. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at how we can use some key replace scripts, right? So whether you're using this to make your workflow better or just want to change how a hardware key works, it's pretty simple to do. We have a couple scripts in our library that are going to allow you to do that. So I'm just going to start the video here. I think it's the next slide. There we go.
Hello, I'm Levi Lynch. I'm a sales engineer here at Ivanti Wavelink, and today we're going to be taking a look at some key replacement scripts. The first question that comes up is, why do you want to change the way a key functions? Well, two common scenarios is 5250 field exit and enter key swaps. Another common one is high jump expects a literal F and then a literal 5 or a other number to do function keys. So we're going to go over both of those scenarios and take a look at how we can solve those. The first thing you're going to understand is, where do you get these scan codes? Where do you get the value when a key is pressed? And we have a solution for that. in Velocity, there's a key test mode, and it's available either by pushing out a global profile out to your device or granting the demo profile provided on the device. So once you're in that demo profile, if you go down to this lower right-hand corner, press this hamburger menu and enable key test mode, you'll be able to see the return values for the keys you're pressing. For the first scenario, this key value is the value that Velocity believes is happening, right? So if I open up the software keyboard, I've got a few function keys here, and press this F2 key, I get the value for that F2 key right here. And then for this Android key code, that's the key code or scan code that Android believes is happening at the moment. So to reach over to my device and press the volume up key, I get this 2734, and that is the scan code that Android believes is happening, but Velocity doesn't have a value for volume up, so there is no key value being placed there. Once you understand those concepts, you're pretty much good to go at making any changes that you would need to make. So the first scenario we're going to take a look at is maybe you have a 5250 system and you want to replace the way a field exit or enter key works. So in our library, if you go to library and then search for key, you can find this key replace script. I've already added it, so I'm going to back this out. But you can just add this key replace script to your project. And then once you have your key replace script, the first value is going to be the scan code that's produced when you press the button that you want to press, right? So in this case, this is a send key. So instead of send, we want Velocity to relay the value of a field exit, right? So we've gone in and got our scan code for our send in the Velocity key test mode, and then we've looked up our new key value either in our Velocity keyboards key codes webpage, right? As you can see here, let me just expand this out. The value for field exit is hex 000D, so I can then place that in here, link its session to scope, and now every time the send key is pressed, a field exit is sent to the host. Looking at the next scenario, right? How do we handle this with high jump? We want to send multiple keys. Well, there is a key macro script in the library as well. So if I go into this key macro script and then look at this hex code here, let's say we already have F2 in here. Let's do one for F3. So if I go to my device, I press F3, that value is E03D. So E03D. And then the new value I want to send to host instead of the hex value for that F3 key is just the literal F and the literal 3. So that handles the first two very common scenarios, but let's say you have a key that Velocity doesn't know what the key value is for, right? So if we pull back up that volume up, 2734, I can take that and use one of our APIs, our key replace, our map key press APIs, to even give that a value, right? So let me grab that one more time, that 2734. So we want this to be 2734. And then the state, it's not shifted, there's no control key, there's no alt key, and there's no function key being pressed. So now we just need to provide what happens when we press that volume up key. At 2734, this looks like it's some kind of F function, but let's say we want it to be F1. I can just press that F1 and it's E03B. So E03B is now the key press that happens when I press volume up. I'm going to save that task, link that to session, and now every time a volume up key is pressed, a function key is pressed instead.
Yeah, and I left the post handle off the video there, but that's pretty much it for the key replacements.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Levi. There are a few questions that came in during that. So first one on here is, now you were showing remapping hardware keys. Can you also remap software keys?
Yeah, you can remap software keys using that key replace script, the first script I used. Or you can even, if you're using a software key, you can go in our keyboard editor and just change the value there as well.
Okay. And then the next question I have on the list is some devices use blue and orange modifier keys. Can you remap modified keys?
Yeah, you could remap those as well. You just get the scan code from the key test mode. And let's say you want to use one of those nested keys without having to press the modifier. You can also modify the base value for a key so that you don't have to step through modifiers to get a value.
Okay, fantastic. And then the last question I have here is, can remapping keys to be macros, sorry, this one, I think the essential sentiment here is, why would you want to remap keys? Is it adding efficiency to your process?
Yeah, it's either to add efficiency or maybe users are used to a button being in a certain place and you want to do retraining. So you can just place a key value where your users are used to the enter key being, and then you don't have to retrain them from what button to press.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, this is just for my information. So you showed taking one key press and doing two key presses, an F and a 3. Is there a limit to how many keys you can put in a macro replacement?
Yeah, I don't believe there's an upper limit. If you might send too much data to a host, right? Okay.
But if I wanted to say automate a few key presses to say have one key that navigated through several menus and like a 3 enter, 4 enter kind of thing, that's possible as well. Okay. That's awesome.
You do macros or even do logins, right? Or something to that effect.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Levi. We certainly appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Venkatesh Santi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Venkatesh Santi. I work as a product support engineer, and I take care of technical issues from support team as well as our sales team. And I'm working for Ivanti for nearly 6 years now. So let's get into the topic now. So today's topic, we'll be discussing about a new feature which we introduced recently in the latest versions of Velocity. This is basically useful for customers who are using Velocity in a full screen mode, or you can do this through MDMs or third-party apps. So we'll be discussing about 2 APIs today. One is for closing Velocity, and one is for opening Velocity or launching Velocity. Without further delay, let's get into the demo. Today, we'll be discussing about how to use Android intents to launch and close Velocity. This requires a custom app or MDM to send the intent to Velocity app to launch or close Velocity. Apps like StageNow and some MDMs can send intent. The intent uses action called Android Intent Action Main with category Android Intent Category Launcher and components with package com.wavelink.velocity and class com.wavelink.velocity.te.splashActivity. You can launch Velocity from a different app by sending the intent to Velocity app using above parameters. Other than this, you can also launch a specific profile using the extras in the intent. Let's look at some examples. In this example, you can see the action, package, and class are used inside an intent script, which can be sent from a different application to Velocity. The link mentioned in the slide contains step-by-step or much more examples. Let's look how it works.
On my device, we have a bunch of profiles already specified that are available. I have created a demo app that allows me to start the profiles named bad SSL or demo or a profile that doesn't exist. If I click the Start Bad SSL button, it'll launch Velocity and open up the Bad SSL profile. That's working. Now, if I switch back to my app here and I click the Start Demo button, it'll launch Velocity and open up the demo profile. That one's open now too, and you can see both of them up there.
Let's look at the second example. In this example, we use StageNow app to send intents to Velocity app to launch Velocity and open a specific profile called demo. You can see two screenshots over here. On the left, you can see we are using the action name, package name, and the class name. And on the right side, we are using an extra name, open profile, to launch a specific profile named demo. The link mentioned over here contains step-by-step process on sending intent using StageNow. Now let's look at how to close Velocity using intent. Velocity action close can be used to shut down Velocity and optionally clear specific web view data. This action should be sent using broadcast and will return a result upon shutdown. The shutdown will finish any open activities, whether foreground or background, as well as terminate all the sessions. The action can also optionally clear web view data as part of shutdown process. Let's look at some examples. In this example, you can see the action and package are used inside the intent script, which can be sent from different applications to Velocity. This example will close Velocity when a different application sends above intent parameters to Velocity app. Now let's see how it works.
We'll be using this demo app to send the broadcast to Velocity to shut down. We can see that Velocity is open right now and currently running several sessions. Let's go close Velocity. We can see Velocity is closed and has been removed from the task list.
We can also further enhance shutdown process by clearing web view data such as cookies, cache, and storage. In the second example, we use StageNow app to send intents to Velocity app to close Velocity. In addition to this, you can also clear data, cookies, storage, and force close Velocity app. The link mentioned in this slide also contains an article which shows step-by-step process on how to send intent using StageNow. Thanks for that.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you very much, Venki. So, honestly, I didn't know that we had that capability. So I have a question of my own first. So I know that a lot of kiosk apps from different MDM providers or from Zebra, they have the ability to launch apps, but also to send intent data. So does this mean that I could theoretically in my kiosk app, if it supported this, have different icons for different profiles and be able to launch right into a profile from the kiosk app without going through that first host profile screen?
Yes, that's possible. That's possible, especially with extras, because we have extra called Open Profile Extra. So using this Open Profile, if your kiosk app can support having an icon of its own for a certain profile, when you click on it, it will send an intent to Velocity, and Velocity can open a certain profile, whatever you want. But the requirement here is either your kiosk app or full screen app should be able to create an icon. Velocity will not be able to create any icon by itself, but if your third-party app can create an icon, and if it can send an intent when someone clicks on this icon, definitely it will work.
Okay, that's fantastic. I know that that's a feature that's been asked for, and I think that's an exciting one to have in the platform. Going to the Q&A, we did have a couple of questions come in. The first question we had is, can we use one profile to launch another profile?
Exactly. So this is something similar to what you asked, Sam. So basically, imagine you have a web profile inside Velocity, and you're running this. In this web profile, you have several icons. So one icon got a script, which is basically a Velocity script, which is inside Velocity profile. So when you click on this icon, it will automatically launch the other profile. All you need to do is add the profile name and use the extra open profile extra in the intent script, and this will exactly do it. Uh, in the links in the help documentation we have, there are 4 examples, and in that one of the example contains exact use case. So definitely, I really recommend users to look at this help documentation about this particular feature, and you will get more knowledge about how to implement this.
Okay, fantastic. And then we had just one more question. It says, inside the Velocity Close API, when you clear cookies and storage, will it clear the app data and the app cache?
No, it will not. It will not clear the whole app data or app cache or app storage. Basically, what we are doing using this APIs is clearing the web view data. Web view data is part of the app data, but not completely. So it will only clear what is related to web view data. If you have any other data, it will not clear it. So app data stays, only web view data like web view cookies, cache, and storage data will be cleared by using these APIs.
Yeah, I certainly know a lot of customers have a best practice of kind of clearing that data out on new sessions, just because it helps make sure there's not a lot of clutter and you kind of get a clean slate for a new person starting a session on that device. So that is fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Venki. With that, we have been through our 3 topics. Just want to take a moment to talk about some of the future topics that we have coming up. So we're going to be talking about on future episodes, Android Enterprise Device Management with Ivanti Neurons for MDM. We'll be covering velocity modernization, velocity scripting, and more. And as I said at the beginning of this presentation, we absolutely want to hear from you. So if you have ideas of things that you'd like to see on a future episode, whether it's something that you want to learn yourself or something that you found in the platform that you think is really an interesting topic that other people would be interested in, please feel free to reach out to any of us on the call if you have our contact information, or of course you can go to the ideas portal that I pointed out earlier in the presentation and submit Wavelink Wednesday ideas there as well. And with that, that concludes this episode. We certainly thank you for taking your time and spending a little bit of it learning some technical tips and tricks with us. And we look forward to seeing you on future episodes.